Thank you very much. So my name is Bello Tango. I am from Nigeria, and I'm here to pitch Tongston. Tongston is the brand name, basically, that we use to represent my company. It's a group of 5 companies, so I'll do as much as I can to explain it, but I've distributed the document to you, the VCs, for more information. Now, to better understand Tongston, I need to maybe go about 13 years, or 12, 13 years back, when I finished from university and graduated, going into the labor market. I still, up to this day, still remember vividly how I watched my mother almost on the floor, begging the head of an agency to give me a job. And this was very crazy to me because I went to a very top level secondary school, top university in the UK, and then came back. And why was there a need for a parent of mine to beg someone to give me a job? So it didn't make sense to me. Now, when I started reflecting on that, I did get the job, obviously, and then grew on to other organizations. But what kept striking me was, could it be that the purpose of education, from primary to secondary to tertiary, and even I did a postgraduate certificate also after that, could it be that all of that was not achieved? And so, upon reflection and also a lot of research, I realized that, yeah, it was achieved at a basic level, but at this day and age, something better, something bigger was needed. And ultimately, I landed at something called entrepreneurial thinking. Mind you, I'm not saying entrepreneurship. I'm saying entrepreneurial thinking, and I'll explain why. Now, what Tongston represents is a company or a brand that's basically trying to infuse entrepreneurial thinking at the heart of every schooling, right from upper primary or primary to secondary to tertiary and even post-tertiary. And I believe, or we believe at Tongston, that it is only by doing that that the true purpose of education can be achieved. And what is that true purpose, you may ask? Sustainable socio-economic development. Whether you are in Africa or in Asia or wherever you are, this is really what will be achieved when you put that at the heart of schooling. So, but I'll explain how that is going to be achieved. So, just a little about myself. Oh, okay, yeah. So on the journey to, because my first degree was in civil engineering, as I had earlier mentioned during the award presentation. So I had to, after 5 years of practicing my construction and civil engineering program within the private sector and public sector, I had to go back to school to do a postgraduate diploma in education. After that, I joined a primary and secondary school to harness my practice as an educator. And then beyond that, I did a Master of Arts in Education, and then worked for a consulting company to learn about teacher training, professional development of teachers, curriculum design, assessment, everything to make me the right founder or the lead for Tongston. And so, so I'm not sure what's happening here, but I'll just continue speaking because of time. So all of that experience that I've gathered was what enabled me to launch Tongston 2 years ago. So Tongston is 2 years old. We exist as a group of 5 companies. First, we have Tongston College, which is we call it a business secondary school, basically. So if you can imagine the typical mathematics, English, and every other subjects that students learn and that teachers teach, you infuse it with the transferable business and enterprise skills that exist in any industry. So this is basically as if you are gaining or acquiring the academics, but you're also learning the transferable business side of things. And I think at this point, let me explain what I mean by transferable business or enterprise skills, and also the whole entrepreneurial thinking that I mean. We identified that there are certain aptitudes and also attitudes that are needed in any industry. And we categorize them into three sections, if I can call it that. First is the influence of a brand. Number 2, the value of products or services. And number 3, the profitability of a business or enterprise. Now, this is something that, if you know, obviously, in the world of entrepreneurship, most people think about you going to set up your own business. But for us, it's about also not just setting up your business, but also existing as something we call an intrapreneur, I-N-T-R-A. So it's almost like you're using these transferable skills to get a job, but also to start up a job for yourself or to a company for yourself. And even beyond that, we think is applicable within government, so that in my part of the continent or world where I come from, you find government that are very dependent on basically the federal infrastructure that exists to make their own income and serve their people. But with this, if you apply it in business, it's something that can even basically create the development that every individual state government needs. So it's applicable in business, in government, but also in getting a job. So these three principles is what we try to infuse here within the curriculum of secondary schools from junior secondary 1 to senior secondary 3, which is in British terms, you call it from grade 7 to grade 12. So that's middle school and high school, basically. So that's what this is. But beyond this, this main entity also does other like extracurricular and co-curricular activities for students that are not within the college itself. So that's the first one. The second one is the institute, which is where we do a lot of our curriculum design, our also teacher training, professional development training, and all of that. We also go beyond that. We produce resources for the students and also for the teachers and professionals. Third, the media company. As you know, it's not enough for you to just create or think of an idea and create it. It's also important that you pitch it and you market it. So this is what the media company does. It works with the students and professionals and educators to build and sell the ideas within different platforms. The ventures company is where we are trying to now structure and raise the funding for investment in each of the entities that the students build. But mind you, not just the students, even the educators, when they build the ideas within the space of schooling and their profession, and professionals also, this is the company that is going to basically harness the investment needed for those ideas to come to reality. Beyond the four of them, the holding company is the one that basically goes about managing all the affairs of the four companies. The four core values that we have that drive all this sort of work that we do, personal development, meaning as much as possible, we are enabling the development of the child or even the student, the development of the student, the professionals, and also the educators across 5 levels. Personal, physical, material, emotional, intellectual, and the spiritual growth of the child. I was very happy earlier when I learned about the multiple things that fellow educators are doing within the emotional field, because I think it's very much ignored. And even in business, you learn that people buy into what you buy, into why you buy, simply because it's an emotional decision first before it becomes a logical decision. So this is very much part of the learning of the students. We also try to encourage sociocultural development because in Nigeria and even in Africa, and even actually if you will notice around the world now, there's so much, zero appreciation or little appreciation for diversity, and also there's very little sense of citizenship amongst races, among religions, amongst different ethnicities and diversities that exist around the world. So this is something that we're very much into as far as the students' learning is concerned. Economic development, obviously, it's an economic world that we live in. So as much as possible, the graduates and also the professionals that are in our institutions understand very much the economic side of the world that they live in, whether it's Dubai, Nigeria, or the continent, Africa, or anywhere it is that they exist in. Finally, sustainable development. So we try to enable as much as possible every idea or business or enterprise that the students work on. We try to make sure that it hits on as many of the 17 sustainable development goals as possible. And this is also something that we do internally with our team and our clients. Because of everything that I've said now, as far as our agenda is concerned, we make sure that our vision of these issues of employment and economic development and all of that is achieved through all the learning and education that we provide, but also we do it through the transformation of all educational institutions the educators themselves, and the students, as I said, across primary, secondary, tertiary, and post-tertiary level. Finally, let me conclude on something to look forward to. There are many slides. This is our campus that we are trying to develop now, and it's something that is replicable across the African continent and even outside of it. We try to hit on all the new innovation, and such as the facilities that we see in Dubai, to make sure that this is a state-of-the-art facility that harnesses all the innovations that we're providing within the education system. And finally, as I hand over to you, of course, physical infrastructure is restrictive to where to its location. So the next level that we're approaching right now at the end of the year is to digitize all of this that we're doing, so that regardless of where you are, you key into this digital school or digital world, as we call it. Thankfully, we're in the world of metaverse right now that everybody is advocating for. So this is something that will very much exist in the near future by the end of the year, that there will be a metaverse or digital world of Tongston that exists, so that wherever you are in any part of the world, you don't have to be in Nigeria or Africa. You can key into this, whether you're at upper primary, secondary, tertiary, or post-tertiary level. So let me stop here. And yeah, I try to go as much as I can, but
Thank you, Bello.
thank you very much.